Hello and welcome to Nottingham Poetry Festival. I can see all of you in the chat going absolutely nuts. It's amazing to see. We've got Woodthorpe, we've got Kingston, we've got East Bridgeford in the house, and it's just making me so incredibly happy. I'm live here from Metronome. My name is Bridie Squires. Ordinarily, you know, we'd be running this event with, you know, up to 200 people in the room. Circumstances says we can't do that, but just seeing all of you in the chat now. Hi from Leiden, the Netherlands, Blidworth. It's great. Hey up, Chris. Lovely to see you here. Okay, so we have got an amazing program for you. Tonight, obviously, you're all tuned in for the incredible Lemn Sissay. And we've also got two incredible support acts for you this evening, Darren Carey and Sophie Sparham. So, as I say, I can see you all in the chat. Hey, Annie, lovely to see you. We had a little idea that normally when you go to a poetry event, you click in as not to disturb the lines of the poet's words. So we thought, obviously we can't do that now. So to emulate that, let's try a little asterisk. So in the chat, can I see a few asterisks from you to emulate the clicking that goes on? Great, lovely, lovely, I'm loving that. Nice one. Let's go, it's cracking off with the clicks, amazing. So, and to emulate a clap, we thought we could use a hashtag. So show me a few hashtags, everyone. Clap. Yes. Lovely. I see someone calling me Gobby there. I just can't help it. I cannot help it. Out to my Gobs collective. Wicked. Yes, loving it. So you've heard that. Click is asterisk. Clap is a hashtag. Great. Okay, so before we get started, we've just got to give a massive, massive thank you to Arts Council England, because this whole festival is free. As you know, you've registered for this event. You can see that it's free. We've got loads of other events, so please go to the website, check out what's on and register for just so much amazing, amazing stuff. We had Anthony Anaxaguru in the building earlier recording his set. It's been, you know, just amazing seeing it all come together. In fact, one thing to really highlight to you is the panel discussion that we've got. It's the first year that we've ever done a panel discussion, and the title of it this year is In Defense of Poetry. It's hosted by John Berkovich, and it's really something to get a ticket for, because it's going to be proper lively discussion. You know, we're kind of feeling like the arts is under attack a little bit at the moment with everything that's going on. You know, we're really having to fight our corner here. So we're going to hear some really lively voices in that panel discussion, and it'd be great to see you there getting involved like you're doing now in the chat. And yeah, it'd be lovely to see you. So yeah, massive thank you to Arts Council England for making all of that absolutely possible. If you log on to our website tomorrow as well, you'll be able to see a lot of the community fringe events, we're calling them. And yeah, be great if you could see some of the local Nottingham talent that we've got on offer. Another last thing to plug before we get into the event is, you might have seen we are running the Nottingham Poetry Hunt this year. So if you head over to the Nottingham Poetry Festival website, you will see a treasure map. On that treasure map are various Nottingham venues. You can head over to their social media pages, or if you're walking past and clock their windows, you might find poems from local poets in Nottingham. The aim of the game is to enter your creative responses on the Nottingham Poetry Festival website. And if you do that, we've got loads of amazing prizes for you. We've got creative short courses from NTU. We've got boxes of books from 5 Leaves. We've got membership to Bromley House Library. So get on it, get involved and win yourself some stuff. But I will stop right there and get into tonight's event, because the first support act that we've got for you tonight, he's a very, very special person. Anybody that has met this guy will tell you, you do not get another Darren Carey. Darren is part of Gobs Collective. He is a slam winner. He's won slams in the Midlands, and he's just got the most incredible style. He dips into the surreal, he dips out of it. His language play is just absolutely incredible. And as I say, anyone who's ever met him will tell you he is a true, true gent. And I can't wait for you to see what he's got in store for you for this next performance. So I'm going to pass it over to Darren, and I'll see you on the other side.
Poets. They're a funny bunch, don't you think? I don't think I even need poetic license to say they're not normal, whatever normal is. And another thing with poets I've noticed, they're never satisfied, always searching, digging in, peeling back the layers from you, deconstructing dermis after dermis, pulling up your sleeve, what makes you tick? I knew this poet once. She scythed open my skin, plunged a hand inside my guts, and ripped out the me from inside. Then rewrote me as a lie. Hello, Nottingham Poetry Festival. It's a real honour to be sharing my words with you today. And now I'd like to gift you Waldo Goodfellow. No. Did you ever wonder how your perception of time moves at different speeds depending upon your current circumstances or your state of mind? Waldo Goodfellow certainly had. And although it was sometime since Waldo had gifted his watch to a man who would never learn to tell the time, tick-tock, and so was unaware of the current time, tick-tock, Waldo Goodfellow knew this was his time. We find Waldo pushing a wheelbarrow containing 1,526 golf balls and a sand wedge down an exceptionally long tree-lined drive. Sitting on the branch of a sycamore tree is the ghost of Curtis Strange, who smiles at the exact time, tick-tock. Waldo Goodfellow raises one eyebrow and begins to whistle Dixie. Waldo's destination is an exclusive golf club which can't be named for fear of libel action, its members being a conspiracy of the legal and political establishment. Wigged and gowned, take him down, and political princes of self-advancement. The Union flag on the 18th green is raised every morning at 7 a.m. prompt and lowered to half-mast every time a member of the royal family sneezes or is exposed to be anything other than the paragons of virtue they would have us believe. Prince Andrew. This wasn't the kind of golf club that welcomed golfers like Waldo Goodfellow, who incidentally had never played golf in his life. Waldo was a man who knew far more than he ever showed. Don't show. Don't show. They'll never know. After opening his wheelbarrow by the door, Waldo Goodfellow strode confidently through the bar, winking provocatively at everyone, kicked open the boardroom door, turned, and demanded that extraordinary general board meeting be convened immediately. Lights flickered on ornamental chandeliers. Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, and hurried telephone calls were made. Lord Beaversnatch had to wait for his heartbeat to subside. Tickety-boom, 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 tickety-boom. Owing to the 6 hits of poppers he had recently inhaled, administered by Dominatrix Madam through a hole in his gimp mask, while he was tied to a spanking bench, wearing stocking suspenders and a Shirley Temple wig. Lord Beaversnatch resented every single note he peeled from his snakeskin wallet, convinced as he was that without this untimely interruption, this would surely have been the greatest ejaculation he had ever experienced. Waldo Goodfellow sat motionless at the head of the table as the boardroom filled with the not-so-great and the not-so-good. Inside his pocket was a copy of the treaty, Sitting Bull, and refused to sign at Fort Laramie, which Waldo had crudely altered for the purposes of this particular land grab. Enter, stage left, Lord, hear, hear, order, 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 who demanded to know what the devil is happening here. Waldo silenced him with a look he had learned from a court bailiff he had once encountered in Cricklewood. Pin drop, pin drop, pin drop. The neural networks in Waldo's brain crackled like the very first electricity ever transmitted. Lightning strikes or Thomas Edison. Lightning strikes or Thomas Edison. Lightning strikes or Thomas Edison. As the clock chimed 2, Queen's Counsel, Freemason, and approved speaker for the Women's Institute remembered his arrangements to collect his daughter from her ballet class. But this was Custer's last stand. And after all, hubris is hubris. Waldo took the measure of the Queen's Counsel and decided that he looked hungry for something. Unlike Waldo, while waiting, had tasted privilege in the form of steak tartare. As this was playing out, a good woman who had spent her life helping others took her final breath alone on a trolley in a hospital corridor. Have you ever wondered that our very first breath is in and that our final breath will be out? While in a corridor directly adjacent to the recently deceased, a stethoscope-wearing junior doctor hurried in response to his bleeper, wondering if this was Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday or Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. Back in the boardroom, Waldo Goodfellow leaned forward and removed the spectacles from the face of a retired rear admiral who was lamenting the demise of the Royal Navy. Pipe him aboard! Rule Britannia! Boudica, Boudica, Boudica! Boston Tea Party! Waldo popped the lenses and carefully placed them perpendicular to a glass display case containing Margaret Thatcher's final breath. It was 40 days and 40 nights when Waldo Goodfellow secured his final signature. After waiting patiently for the ink to dry, Waldo raised himself up, removed his ringmaster's coat, scooped up the treaty, strode to the door, turned, and ripped it into tiny pieces. For Waldo Goodfellow knew, just like Sitting Bull, that no one can truly own the ground upon which we walk.
Wow. What can I even say about that? I was not messing around. Can we get some claps / hashtags in the chat for Darren Carey, please? Yes, nice one. I see you all. I see you all. I hear you. I actually hear through the hashtags, I hear the claps. So thank you so much, everyone, for getting involved with that. Thank you so much, Darren, for being a part of this festival. It is an absolute pleasure. So before we get into the next bit, I thought we might have a little experiment in the chat. So I'm sure many of you in the chat know about the idea of metaphor. So it's the idea of calling one thing something else. So love is a flamingo, for example. In the chat, I want you to give me a metaphor for how you're feeling right now. So I just want you to give me one word to, just so we can gauge the room a little bit. Ordinarily, you know, you'll be in here, you'll be in the room, and you know, we'll feel the vibe. So I want you to drop an object in the chat to let us know how you're feeling. What is it? Common thing we use in poetry, metaphor. Drop us a firework. I'm loving this. Firework, brick, palm tree, shooting star, warm apple pie, apples, loads of apples going on, excited puppy, a day of sunlight, Horlicks, autumn flower, coiled spring. You lot, loving it. Hot curry, berry, shuddering icicle, roast potato. You lot. So happy to be here. So happy to have you here in the ether, in this internet ether, dropping your metaphors, dropping your hashtags. I'm absolutely loving it. Just to let you know, obviously, our main act, Lemn Sissay, is going to be with us around 8:30, just to sort of put it on your radar a little bit. Sorry, 8 p.m, not 8 p.m, not 8:30. What I want to let you know is that the virtual book signing is taking place after the show. So if you go onto our website and go onto Lemn Sissay's event on our website, you'll be able to purchase a signed book that's by Lemn Sissay. And when you purchase that signed book, you will get a link to a Zoom meeting where you can have a one-to-one with Lemn Sissay, and he will write a personalised signed message for you. So go onto the website and check that out. We're going to have a break just after our second support act, so there'll be plenty of time for you to do that. So without further ado, let's have our next support act. Sophie Sparham. She has written commissions for BBC Radio 4. She co-hosts Wordwise with Jamie Thrasavulu in Derbyshire. And I just have to say that Sophie is just, not only is she an incredible poet, but she's just a lovely soul, wonderful human being. And we cannot wait to show you her wondrous words in the next section. So please, put your hashtags together and your asterisks for the incredible Sophie Sparham.
Hey up, everyone. Hope you're all doing well, or as well as you can be doing in this weird lockdown times. My name's Sophie Sparham, if you don't know who I am, and I'm here to read you some poems this evening from the comfort of my office, which is very both odd and lovely, but I'm sure we can all admit it's been a bit of a weird year. So yeah, I'm going to read you some stuff which is going to be coming out in my up and coming collection, The Man Who Ate 50,000 Weetabix, which comes out with the Poetry Press in May. I hope you like it. We'll see how this goes. So the first poem that I'm going to read is a poem called Ring of Fire. And when I was writing this, I was thinking about the expectations on blokes to be masculine and to be like their fathers, you know, growing up, you're always expected to be kind of like your dad in some way in small towns, you know, and having those masculine expectations on them. So yeah, I'm just going to be quiet now and read the poem. This is Ring of Fire. When forced to sing karaoke in a Berlin bar, my brother chose Johnny Cash. Mimicking the dulcet tones of my granddad, I watched him smile, the same half grin he wore the night of his boxing match, walking the line between the tables to the same anthem, gloves in the air, hands never truly able to grip the sky. No one forced him to box, yet he trained daily, treadmilling his body into valleys. He ran between construction sites and gyms, always wearing some kind of uniform. Lifting weight my father had lifted before him, bench pressing the bar from his chest. The match was called in 30 seconds, a nosebleed from his opponent. My brother lost on points. I'll do better next time, youth, he told me, eyes focused on the ropes, as though he wanted to leave, but knew that flames licked the side. Thank you. That is based on a true story. My brother does box. And yeah, the match was called in 30 seconds. Bless him. Going to do something different now. This is a smaller poem, and it's about basically when people, you know, people do good, or whatever you want to call it, when people go from not earning a lot of money to then all of a sudden having disposable income and trying to work out where their place is in the class system and all that sort of jazz. So it's called Bedtime Stories. You fly-tipped your childhood home, burnt school books like bodies left beneath bracken, offered your send to the butcher as if you could cut the council estate out of you, amputate it like a leg, Tipex the birds from your mouth. Later, in your detached house, your wife doesn't understand why more people can't be like you and Mr. Sugar. She's unaware you're living a funeral. Upstairs, you read to your daughter, wonder if the little mermaid had an accent, how she can bear to gaze at the sea. Thank you. So, I got obsessed with bar fights for a while. I don't know why. I was thinking about them a lot and how kind of like intimate they are in a weird way. And I watched a film called Fighting with My Family, which is wicked. It's a wrestling movie, but it's so good. And there's a bar fight in that around Christmas. And this idea came to me. I wonder what would happen if Jesus got in a bar fight. So this is my take on that. It's called Wrestling with Baby Jesus. Jesus tag teams 5 pints of Stella, picks up a packet of ready salted nuts and crushes them in his palm. Darren yanks a wise man from the nativity display, throws it at Jesus's head. This is a surprise grudge match. Winner leaves with nothing. Jesus snaps a pool cue over his thigh, smashes Mrs. Hill's vase into pieces over the carpet. Darren's fist yawns into him. Blood pours from his mouth, his teeth, a factory line of overtime, his eyes broken bottles. The dartboard sheds its numbers. The slot machine pisses pan coins. The man painted on the gents runs into the ladies. On the telly, Wizard stops playing and places bets from the summit of Roy Wood's beard. The audience member at the bar rocks on a stool, burbling the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, carol now be in Spain. The bell rings, the bartender calls time, the landlord calls the police, and the streets fill with the bird song of sirens. The sky throws up a burning bowling ball, dispensing the crowd like Skittles. Come on, Jesus cries, screaming at the torn bin bags, the footprints of dog shit smeared across the pavement, the graffitied neighborhood watch sign. I'll take on all of you. It's my birthday and I'm celebrating. My brain is weird. Just thought I'd do a disclaimer there. Right, so moving on. We've got two more for you. If there's anyone that I'd like to go joyriding with, it would be Dennis Skinner. I think Dennis Skinner's wicked, and I just wanted to write a poem about what he might be like to go joyriding with. So this is that. It's called Joyriding with Dennis Skinner, very creatively. Everyone must spend some time being bad. After 49 years, God knows you've earned it. Choose the car you've always wanted to steal and let me smash the window. Outside the pubs, men grind together as regular as teeth in the jaws of one who's always hungry. We ride past figures who spray their lovers against walls like graffiti, tag the city with names they want the night to know. Past those that vomit their truths into drain pipes, mouths as open as goalposts, shooting for home. This isn't what I wanted to show you, but understand we grow differently down here in the cracks, are always waiting to be weeded out or burnt by daylight. Leave our legacies on newspaper headlines, are far more interesting dead. I've learnt to pray by pressing my foot against the accelerator and holding my breath. I know I should spend a lifetime repenting for my sins, flog myself daily for the people I have borderlines with tire marks. But you, my sweet, there's nothing left for you to do. I can't see anything changing St. Peter's mind. If you, a passenger of sin, were to lean back, put your feet on the dashboard, close your eyes and whisper, "Dear God, I'm coming." So there you go. Got one more for you now. I just want to say, like, it's so awesome to be able to do this gig, and it's really awesome to be able to do it with Darren, who I love to bits, and to support Lemn Sissay, who's just been a massive, massive inspiration on me. And I want to leave you on this, on a more positive note. Good things are coming, and they will happen, and things are going to be okay. We just got to hang tight. This is sunrise over Aldi. It won't always be like this. Somewhere boys will put down their postcodes and weep into tracksuits, step over double yellow lines and loiter with one another. On the south side of the city, a mother will embrace her daughter for the first time, try on a new name and find that it fits her lips. "Caroline," she will say. "Caroline, Caroline, you look beautiful." It won't always be like this. Somewhere, a 70-year-old birdwatcher will buy a motorbike and find that he too can fly. A black woman will show a mixed-race girl how to tie a head wrap, and something in her heart will leap. Somewhere, someone will utter the words, "I love you, I miss you, I'm sorry." An atheist will speak Allah and smile at the taste of honey on his tongue. The dead will climb out their graves and shake those standing in line at the bank. Somewhere, you will look down at the stars shooting across a dual carriageway and decide to climb off the iron railings. In the shadow of the service station, you will wait for your dawn. Thank you very much.
Wow. I'm getting a bit emotional over here, I'm not going to lie, because Sophie, I needed that so much. And by the hashtags in the chat, I think everybody else needed that too. I mean, let's not try and polish a turd. 2020 has been a year. But I mean, if anything is going to polish that turd, it has got to be that performance. And just the fact that we're in this festival a part of something bigger, and it's really inspiring actually to see in the chat that we're now reaching people, you know, on the other side of the world. And before we weren't going to be doing that. So, you know, we're turning this turd into, you know, an opportunity. And it's just really humbling to be a part of it. Darren and Sophie are at the moment crafting workshops that we are pumping into schools across Nottingham. And it's part of our wider education programme this year. We're really trying to push things forward in getting poetry out there into schools. Earlier this year, we found out that poetry is going to potentially be made optional as a GCSE. So we're really looking to try and counter that, because we know, as you know, the people behind the programme, that poetry is so valuable to human life in just being able to express yourself. And we're really passionate about equipping young people with those tools in order to navigate their emotions in their lives. And, you know, just last week, myself and the rest of the team, we're also putting workshops together. And I was working with a group of year 7s last week, and they were just absolutely incredible. Some of the words that they're coming up with. Again, we're doing it over Zoom, where we're, you know, speaking to the children through a teacher who's navigating all of this as well, and doing what they can do to make it work. So yeah, I'm just feeling really humbled right now. And thanks, Joe. Joe is says might use turning this turd into an opportunity as the name of their biography. So spread the turd, says Rosie Hunt. Yes, Sharon McInnes, poetry is massively important in devised drama. Yes, exactly. So I thought we could play a little game, actually, because, you know, we're on this subject of workshopping. And one activity that we really like to come back to is this idea of I come from. And I'm so excited to see that we've got all different kinds of people in the chat today, people from everywhere. So as in the first sort of activity that we had, where everyone wrote down a concrete noun for how they're feeling, what I want you to think about now, everyone in the chat, is think of something that summarizes your culture. Again, an object would be great. And what we're going to do is we're going to write a collective poem in the chat. I want you to start your sentence with I come from, and then I want you to complete that sentence with something from your culture. Let's celebrate this group that we have crafted together. There's 266 people in the chat. Let's make a collective poem. So I come from slavery. I come from concrete. I come from tulips. I come from paella. I come from cheese. I come from pasta. I come from racism and sexism. I come from bricks and mortar. I come from the frozen waste of the north. I come from immigrants. I come from bluebell woods. I come from candlelight. I come from baked beans. I come from ketamine. I come from cheese. I come from zebras. I come from honesty. I come from coq au vin. I come from a crackling log fire. I come from Methodism. I come from sugar plantations. I come from stones and rocks. I come from cha-cha-cha. I come from clogs and shawls. I come from escargot. I come from tomato dip. I come from a stoned beach. I come from the council estate. I come from opposites. I come from stardust. I come from the fields. I come from a harbour. I come from fear. I come from elephant spirits. I come from the middle of the middle. I come from the ground. Thank you so much. Keep going, guys. I'm gonna leave it there, but we'll pull this. We will pull this from the chat. We will pull this from the chat and we will do something with it. Just another reminder before we get into the next bit. The next bit is going to be a break, actually. So, yeah, as I say, get those virtual book signing tickets in the break. I would say drop some questions for the Q&A for Lem, but we've actually been inundated with questions as you've all signed up. So thank you to everyone that submitted the Q&A questions. And yeah, I'll see you on the other side of the break. We've got about 10-15 minutes. So grab yourselves a cup of tea and we will see you back here then. Hi, welcome back. Can I hear a few of your voices in the chat? A few hashtags, a few clicks. Let me know you're back in the room. Yes. Yes, Brian. Yes, Katie. Yes, Nick, Ingrid, Louise. I see you. I hear you. I hear the claps echoing around metronome. Amazing. Nigel King's worked out how to put an actual hand in there. Amazing. Lovely to see you all. I hope you're all feeling very refreshed and ready for our second half. But before we get into the performer you've all been waiting for, I just wanted to let you know about a couple of other things that we've got cracking off at Nottingham Poetry Festival. So we've got events running until Sunday, the 22nd of November. We've got something on pretty much every single day. So as I said, check out the website. There's the full program totally for free. And as I said, just after Sophie, we are really keen this year to push the educational aspect of the Poetry Festival. So one thing we have been really keen to do is more workshops. And while we are at capacity for Sean Hewitt's workshop on Sunday and Ruth Padell's workshop on Monday, we still have places left for Dr. Jack McGowan's workshop and Nick McCoa's workshop, which they're happening just a little bit later in the week. So as I say, if you want that workshop experience, then go to the website and check out those events. So just a little reminder as well about the Nottingham Poetry Hunt. There are poems waiting in venues for you to dig them up and use them as creative inspiration to create your own pieces, submit them to us, and then you will be able to win prizes. So another thing, just one last plug before we get into it. On the last day of the festival, Sunday, the 22nd of November, we're hosting a collaboration between Gobs Collective, that's the collective that I'm the creative director of, and Deborah Stevenson, who was very much the inspiration for the collective. Give me a shout in the chat if anyone knows about Mouthy Poets. Yes, Cleo. Yes, Georgina. Yes, so Mouthy Poets was a really special organisation that existed in Nottingham a few years ago. And there's a lot of people in Nottingham that were a part of it. And I just wanted to give a massive shout out to an organisation that Lem's actually performed with before as well. You know, there's a lot of us that wouldn't be where we are in our poetry careers without Mouthy Poets. And Gobs Collective is has risen from the ashes of Mouthy Poets. And I'm really, really excited to present to you Gobs Collective on Sunday, the 22nd of November. So book tickets for that. We've got an incredible group of poets who've been working really hard. So come and check us out. And obviously headlined by Deborah Stevenson, incredible artist. So come along to that. Now we have reached the point of the evening you've all been waiting for. I'm going to tell you a few things about Lemn Sissay. Now, there's just so much to say that, you know, there are a few words here that I say a lot better than I could. So Lemn Sissay is a Bafta-nominated international prize-winning writer. He was awarded an MBE for services to literature by the Queen of England, the Pen Pinter Prize, and a Points of Light Award from the Prime Minister. He was awarded an Honorary Doctorate from the University of Huddersfield, the University of Manchester, the University of Kent, and the University of Brunel. He won a Bikila Award with the Ethiopian music legend Teddy Afro. His 2017 radio two-parter, Lemn Sissay's Homecoming, was nominated for a Palme d'Or. Among other awards are a NESTA New Radical Award and a RIMA Award for his play Something Dark. Lemn is a poet, playwright, artist, performer, and broadcaster. He's read on stage throughout the world, from the Library of Congress in the United States to the University of Addis Ababa, from Singapore to Sri Lanka, Bangalore to Dubai, from Bali to Greenland and Wigan Library. His memoir, My Name is Why, is published by Canongate Books in 2019. He was the first poet commissioned to write for the London Olympics and wrote the official poem for the FA Cup. If you Google the name Lemn Sissay, all the returning hits will be about him. There is only one person in the world named Lemn Sissay, and we at Nottingham Poetry Festival are very proud to present him to you today. Please put your hashtags together for the amazing Lemn Sissay.
Thank you so much. Now, I'm not on mute, am I? I hope I'm not on mute. My mute is open. I can feel it. I'm feeling that you can hear me. Thank you for the hashtags that I can see coming through Twitter. I've never been applauded by hashtags before, so this is a first for me at the Nottingham Poetry Festival. Oh, and I can see just behind you, somebody's just walked behind you. If you take a look, sorry, I can see you in your houses. I think somebody's just walked behind you. I don't know if anybody turned then. I don't know if you did turn then, but if you did, I can't see you. I can only see myself, Nottingham Poetry Festival, and my poetry, which I'm really honoured to be able to read for you. I hope you don't mind. I'm glad you've come to my home now. For the first time as a poet, I'm able to invite you into my house. Normally you would fit there because, you know, poetry audiences aren't necessarily very big. It's a real, which means that you write poetry for other reasons, for personal reasons, and the personal is political as well. The first poem that I'm going to read from you, and I may read from my memoir, My Name is Why, if you would like me to. So just let me know in chat, but I want to read you some poetry. So this poem is from a book called Gold from the Stone, and it's called Morning Breaks. They always said I was over the edge, and now I really am, I'm over the edge. But as I dropped, in a gasp of air, I grasped a branch that I hoped had its roots in the rock or rock solid roots. But there's a breeze blowing, a stunning storm coming, thickening ink spills and swills on a bleating paper sky. A crowd of rain on the horizon staggers nearer. I sway so, I know so, I grip a little more. I sway so, I know so, I slip a little more. These tender fingers in a clenched fist. I must have slit my back. It hurts like a howl. It stings like a scowl. It weeps and stings again. And the skin splits and spits from my spine sides. And the pain develops muscles that create mouths, that simulate sounds of whole cities screaming. There's a storm coming, a coming storm. Dust spits from the cliff top into my river eyes, forcing tears over the banks to flood me. I will not drown in them. I will not drown. I am hanging on. I am hanging on. I am hanging on. In the zip of a thick ribbon of wind, a god or a devil appears floating in front of me and tells me in the hunch of a New York accent, let go, let go. Death is the beginning of the end of 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 the beginning of the end. And he continues for 41 days and 41 nights of the end of the beginning of the end of the beginning of the end. And in a crack of lightning, the devil or the god has vanished. There's nothing more for me to concentrate as I hang from the branch over the edge of the cliff, but a storm. the sky, my breaching back and the cliff and the edge and the uprooting branch, and my knuckles so sore, cracked and numb, they favour a knot of bleeding wood. If I look down as I hang, and I do look down, I can see that blood has poured from my back, seeped along the smoothness of backside, slid under me around thighs, knees, and ebonized legs. It pours in abundance from my feet and skydives, and I watch these red tears fall forever and transform into explicit flowers as they reach the floor. I will not become one. I am hanging on. I am hanging on. Whispers from above me. From above me, whispers gather. The cliff ledge lined with edgy people of all colours, some humming, amazing grace. Others simply staring, some I saw pointing at my back and wincing. A bearded man with his hand on a Bible or a red book or a white book or a leather book or a revolutionary book or a dark green book shouted down to me from the cliff top in sermonic tones deeper than the sea, "Let go! In the name of let go." A nervous follower peeps over the edge and offers the advice that there's someone down there, they'll catch you. And before I get the chance to answer them, they erupt into a sky-shattering, "Someone's crying, Lord, let go. Someone's crying, Lord." The harmony of their collected voices woke the spirit of the sky, and they threw crosses down at me. It's raining crosses. I look down past my feet. A devil or a god, a man the size of a pea, is mouthing the words up to me, "Let go." Nighttime was approaching. Breathless, I whispered, "I will not fall, never have, never will. Not fall, never have, never will." But as quick as they came is as quick as they were gone. But I am hanging on. I am hanging on. I am hanging on. And the darkness cloaked the horror of nighttime, of gangrenous spirits that fed upon open wounds. As lightning struck, I saw glimpses of their faces, demons whose countenance had slipped, whose fingers had stretched, whose breath stank so viciously that I spewed into the sea my mantra: I am hanging on, I am hanging on, I am hanging on, I am hanging on, throughout darkness and fear until sunrise and the stillness of morning breaking. I was a silhouette, hanging from a branch against the chalky cliff, only the sound of my trickling blood, my breaking back, and the moaning sky for comfort. My shadow stretched across the cliff like a script title on handmade paper. The sulking storm retreated into the horizon to recollect. I listened to the tearing of my back flesh as I hanged, the flapping wet skin of my blooded back as it hanged. Tears painted salt veins along my ebonized skin. As that stark sunlight skidded across a bloodied sky, I sensed, I swear, the presence of two symmetrical shadows descending. They stretched seemingly, even pushed back the clouds seemingly. I felt them push warm air into my face seemingly. I saw them in the corner of each eye seemingly, magnificent wings seemingly, and I felt new muscles in my back and my chest expand with air, further and further, a new air and new spirit. And there, with not a soul around me, I unpeeled my tender fingers from that dew-drenched branch. I let the sun pour into my eyes. And finally, after years, I let go. Why? Because I was growing. I was growing wings all the time. And I can fly. Thank you very much for listening to that poem and also for allowing me into your homes to read. It's an intimate space, our homes. And I know that some of you might have felt that that was a long old poem and when is he going to get to the end, or when is he going to make me laugh? But sometimes if you stay with a poem to the end, you know, magic can happen. And thanks if you did, and I understand it if you didn't. Oh gosh, you know, that poem says so much about what my life has been about. And in many ways, the memoir, My Name is Why, writing is a way of kind of growing wings in some ways. Right, I will read you a poem called Magpie now. It's a very short poem, but what I did is, when I published my book, I put this poem in to see if the editor was reading my poems. And I think he was, but he left this one in. It's called Magpie. Okay. I saw a single magpie. It got into my head. I thought, you unlucky bugger, and shot the bastard dead. So yeah, that's a very different poem to the last one. I apologize for swearing for anybody who didn't want me to swear. Then I won't. There will be no swearing in this reading. Shall I read that again without the swear words? I saw a single magpie. It got into my head. I thought, you unlucky bugger, and shot the bugger dead. See, somehow that was published, you see. You can go from that to, you know, the first poem that I read for you. And this poem that I'm going to read for you now is called Writer's Blockers. And it's about having writer's block, which is, I don't know what that really is, but it's a thing. Are you okay, by the way, after me reading that first poem? I hope you are. I sometimes forget the effect a poem can have. And knowing that you're in your own home, I can't see you, so I can't see your eyes, I can't see you. But I will just continue regardless, seeing you in chat, talking to me, and feeling that you are with me. In fact, the moment that I've done that, that actually causes separation. When you start to talk about the medium in which you'll communicate, you actually accentuate the distance between you and the person who's listening. And the truth is, the key to all performance, the key to all reading, in my experience, is to be committed to your work. It's as simple as that, you know, and your work will speak for itself. And I know that you're with me because I'm with you, and we are all with the poems. This poem is called Writer's Blockers. Instead of rolling my tongue around a juicy adjective while finding myself an abstract objective to metaphorically master through a perfect perspective and economically edit to its utmost connective, I find myself lost in a cell full of words. I know what I want to do, but I can't find the verbs. Rhymes are on the run through the keyhole and under the door, saying, I'm going to die a slow death if you use me any more. But a padded cell is not enough. It's another cliche, another padded out and poached piece of poetry today. My illness is spreading, pathetic as the odd sock, or the fact that gets me to the rhyme that I've got writer's block. Grief wells haunting my paper with cunning and clarity to see this block, the big full stop, the end to my literacy. Suicide seems to be the only recurring choice. For on top of all this, I'm an oral poet, and I think I'm losing my voice. This next poem is one that I love. I'm glad you like that, Sandra. I think it was Sandra. This poem is called Invisible Kisses. And I would just like to thank the MC, the young woman who was MCing, because she said, rather than clap, some of you can put up hashtags, and you have done, and that's I can see them sort of flying past, and it's wonderful. Yeah, I'm going to read you a poem called Invisible Kisses, and it's a love poem, and it gets read at a wedding somewhere in the world once every few weeks, and I'll get a message from somebody, you know, saying, oh, we read your poem at our wedding, and it means the world to us. The reason that we came to see you tonight online is because I know there's one person out there that this will have happened to, that you read your poem. Your poem I gave to my partner, and we've been together ever since. And I love this poem, and it means the world to us. And when we had a baby, we read it to the baby, and we printed it onto the cot. And what I think when I read these messages that I receive from people via email and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, which is exactly where I spend all my life, I actually send out posts to tell people that I was going to send out a post. You see, I've got to do everything in micro detail online, you see, which means that I can't do anything because I'm so busy telling people that I'm going to do something that I don't get done what I was going to do in the first place, if you can get my understanding. So this poem is called Invisible Kisses. People write to me all the time, and I do say to them, thank you very much for sending me the poem, and I'm glad my poem means a lot to you. And I just want to ask the question, do they pay me? Do they pay me for this poem, which has meant so much to them that they read at their freaking wedding? No, okay? They don't. And if you got married to my poem right now, I want you to send me a check to show how much it means to you, because I've just about had enough. It may be about love, but this is business, pal. And you better send me the money, okay? So here is my love poem, which is available to all, and it's called Invisible Kisses. Now, I just want to say this, if there is a person who's watching this now with their partner, considering whether they're going to read this poem at their wedding, then you can. It's free. I've put it up online. I'm only joking, okay? You can take it and you can read it until your heart's content, and many of you do. So it's all good. I was only joking. Invisible Kisses. If there was ever one, and actually what I would do is I would give this and send this to the person that you love. That's it. Or think of the person that you love and think of them as I read this. Think of reading it to them. Even if they're not around anymore. If there was ever one whom when you are sleeping, who would wipe your tears when in dreams you are weeping, who would offer you time when others demand, and whose love lay more infinite than grains of sand. If there was ever one to whom you could cry, who would gather each tear and blow it dry, who would offer help on the mountains of time, and who would stop to let each sunset soothe the jaded mind. If there was ever one to whom, when you run, who will push back the clouds so that you're bathed in sun, who would open arms if you would fall, who would show you everything if you lost it all. If there was ever one who, when you achieve, was there before the dream and even then believed, who would clear the air when it's full of loss, who would count love before cost. If there was ever one whom when you are cold will summon warm air for your heart to hold, who would make peace in pouring pain and make laughter fall in falling rain. If there was ever one who can offer you this and more, who in keyless rooms can see open doors, who in open doors can see open fields, and in open fields see harvests yield, then see only my face in the reflection of these tides through the clear water beyond the riverside. all I can send is love. And all that this is, a poem and a necklace of invisible kisses. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's such a pleasure to read for you. It's such a, you know, poems are like old friends, you know, and you visit them and they wake up, you know, when you acknowledge them, and they answer back to you and say, hey, thanks. They're a great way of remembering a time and place, you know. This poem is called The Lost Key, okay? And you will have experienced this while we're all in lockdown. You will have experienced losing things in your place. You know, they could be down the back of the couch, or, you know, and somebody will shout if you're with people, you know, somebody will say like, where's my, you know, have you seen my sock or my glasses or my keys or my shoe or my partner or my, you know, you'd be like, we spend half our lives looking for things that we've lost, and the rest of our lives doing the things that we were going to do with the things that we'd lost. I need the keys to get out of the house. I need the keys for the car. I need my, where's me? I've always wanted to write a poem, a children's poem, by the way, about, somebody's just written in chat, haven't lost my partner down the sofa yet, which I thought was quite funny. But I've always wanted to write a poem about a place where everybody's called Where's Me. And so there's, you know, there's Where's Me socks, you know, and there's Mrs. Where's Me shoes, and there's Where's Me, and I know there's a children's poem in there somewhere. Anyway, you should never talk too much about what it is that you're going to write. You should write it. The more times you talk about what you're going to write, the least likely you're going to do it. Note. Anyway, sorry, this isn't a workshop. Are you still there? Are you with me? I know you're with me. I'm with you. This poem is called The Lost Key. And I know some of you are thinking, he's a bit mad, isn't he? He's just a little bit nuts. Well, you know, everybody's a bit mad. I'll tell you what's crazy. What's crazy is getting all the iron, all the creases out of a sheet of a morning, and getting hospital corners on the bed. We are all a bit mad, you're right. It's just that artists admit to it. Anyway, that's another story. Shall we go back to the poem? I think we shall. Yeah, I know about my glasses. The Lost Key. I like reading this, by the way, at very serious events. The Lost Key. I know if you knew when you lost it that you wouldn't be looking. Have you checked the back of the sofa? Underneath it? Could it be in your pockets? Have you checked your pockets? What about your pockets? Now, have you got any inside pockets? The insides of the inside. No, I mean your inside pocket. Yeah, inside your inside pocket. Have you checked the cupboards with the clothes in? The clothes, the new clothes, because, you know, you never know. You never know, things turn up in the strangest, they do. They turn up. You have to check all of the pockets in all of the clothes of all of the places that you've ever been. That's a lot of pockets. Find out where the new land lies and the old lies land. It's funny, isn't it? How when you're looking, you find everything else, except don't start blaming people. Before you know it, you'll accuse everyone that's nearest to you, everyone that was closest to you. You'll turn on them, investigate them for the time they might have slipped it in their pockets and slipped away saying goodbye, goodbye. Have you checked your pockets? Your inside pockets. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. I did enjoy reading that one. This poem is called Suitcases and Muddy Parks, and it's a poem that I wrote some time ago. I'll often go to readings and I'll hear people say, you know, at poetry readings, they'll say, They'll say, this is an old one. They'll say, you know, this is an old one. Because everybody in the world is waiting for their new one. I always find it the height of arrogance when people go, oh, I'm going to read an old one now. I mean, do you think that when people go to the gallery to see Picasso, you know, they go, or who's the guy? You know, they go, oh, that's the flowers. Yeah, he did the flowers ages ago. Yeah, it's an old one. Yeah, you know, you want to see the new ones. They're much better than the flowers. He's been doing them for ages in the gallery. Huh. Can't wait till he moves on. You know, it's rubbish. Sometimes I feel like reading the same poem over and over again for a full reading. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I've got a voice in the back of my head and it's going, you're crap, get off. It's like, go away, Lem. They're in a pandemic. They don't want to listen to you. And I've got another one, it's going, no, you're doing all right. Carry on, Lem. Keep going. And I've got another voice in the middle and it's going, you two, separate now. I swear, it's all going on. I've got another voice behind those three voices and it's saying, shall we form a choir? For any psychotherapists who are in the audience, that's not actually happening. I'm just having a joke about voices in the head. They're not real voices in my head. I'm not actually suffering from having voices in my head. But if you do suffer from having voices in your head, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm saying that is a condition and you're going to get up, you know, going to get through it, work with it rather than against it. But I don't have it. I'm sorry. Somebody's just said, I cannot get enough of you. I thank you very much. But please don't quote song lyrics back at me and pretend that they're original. That's a joke. I know that it's not a song lyric. I should just carry on reading the poetry. Leave me to read the poetry. I'm talking too much. I can see it. I can feel it. I know that there's going to be an academic gentleman or woman out there who will be saying to themselves, well, he's talking too much. I came here for poetry and I want my money back. Well, you can get your money back because this is a free event. So I think you should be paying me, to be quite frank with you. Okay, so please, I am only joking. We're in a pandemic. You're locked in a room with me. Don't worry about it. I've got your back. This poem is called Suitcases and Muddy Parks. And I guess I wrote it regarding my, my foster mother as a child. Suitcases and Muddy Parks. But sorry, before I carry on, I just want to share this with you, that although I was in foster care for the first 12 years of my life, and that was, I thought they were my family forever, and they said they were, a child who goes into care has a really unique, into children's homes, like that's what happened to me, they have a unique understanding of the nature of family because they're separated from it at a key time. And that allows them a perspective on family that most of us don't have. Most of our familial experiences, our dysfunctions are around the family that we're around all of the time. And sometimes it is incredibly difficult. But when you're separated from your family in a way which says you'll never see them again, it makes you at an early age start to understand the nature of family. You know, people said to me, quite often will say to me, Lem, you know, family's not all that good. The point is that family doesn't have to be all that good. Family is about separations and coming back together, falling outs and coming back together, distrust and trust, reconciliation and separation. This is why funerals are difficult, and this is why birthdays and Christmases, because everybody has a different story of what the family is. And that conflict of story is what family is. That's the beauty of it. That's the nature of it, that it is crazy and it is magic at the same time. It is not a democracy. It is a democracy. A family is not a democracy. It's a beautiful, beautiful celebration of the dysfunction of the human spirit functioning perfectly well, thank you very much. Now, family's primary purpose, in my opinion, is relativity. So when a child goes into care, as I did, you start to understand that. You start to understand relativity and the nature of family. And I wrote this poem when I was probably 19 years of age about separation and reconciliation, and I don't think I understood it at the time. You say I'm a lying child. I say I'm not. You say, there you go again. You say I'm a rebellious child. I say, no, I am not. You say, there you go again. Quite frankly, Mum, I've never seen a rebellious child before. And when my friend said, race you through the park, you know, the muddy one, I didn't think about the mud. I didn't think about the mud. When you said, why are you dirty? I could hear the anger in your voice. I said, I raced my mates through the park. You said it was deliberate. I said, I didn't. I mean, I did. But it wasn't. You said I was lying. I said, no, I'm not. You said, there you go again. Later, in the dawn of adolescence, it was time for my leave. It was time for my leave. I, with my suitcase and social worker, you with your husband, we walked our sliced ways. Sometimes I would run back to you like a child through a muddy park. Adult achievements tucked under my arm. Then I'd explain them with a childlike twinkle in my eye, thinking, any mother would be proud. But your eyes, desperately trying to be wise and unrevealing, reveal all. Still, you fall back into the heart of the same rocking chair, saying, there you go again. And I did go. And I have gone. Gosh, wow. Thank you very much. Maybe a little bit over-emoted. I don't know. Sometimes, you know, poems lift you and you just soar on their thermals. And that's just the way it is. I need to check out my timing now because it's so long since I've read poems, and I'm so pleased to be doing it because I've been reading from my my memoir, which is called My Name Is Why. I've been reading from that for the past year or so, so it's so great to be with my friends. I guess I'm going to read just a couple more poems. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I'll read two poems and then I'll read some of the memoir as well. And we'll bring this to, actually, I don't need to tell you about my timing. We don't come to events to be told how long they'll be. We come to events to lose time. This poem is called, this poem is called Fallen. When I met my birth mother, I realized that I was the similar age to the last time that she saw my birth father. So I spent my life searching for my family, and first I find my mother, and she looks at me, and I'm the same age as the last time she saw my birth father, which was at the conception of me. So when I found her, I realized it was all about my story. You know, the boy brought up in care in England, fights his way to find his parents, and he first found his mother. I was 21 years of age. But when I found her, I realized that it wasn't my story. It was her story. And that she'd suffered more trauma than I had. and that it wasn't actually about me. And that made me then think about women, mother and baby homes in particular, and how we view them. Many of the women in the 1960s were put into mother and baby homes if they were pregnant and if they did not have a husband. We can blame the nuns for this, or we can blame the social workers and social services for this, but they're not to blame. They were carrying out an institutional idea of making society a better place. Whether they were wrong or not is not what I'm concerned with. The people who are responsible for that are us. It's our twitching curtains, it's our sense of shame that sent those women to those institutions to have those babies adopted. Now this happened in the 1960s on an industrial level. There were mother and baby homes all around Britain, and women, mainly Irish, but also English, were sent to these mother and baby homes. They were often on the bridge of adulthood and childhood. You know, they probably never heard the word adoption before. The nuns made them feel a sense of guilt and shame. Your own parents don't want you to be at home. They want you to be here because you've done something that is morally corrupting and bad. The baby will be illegitimate. The baby will be a product of sin. You have sinned. These mother and baby homes were where the women worked for their keep. They had to work for their keep, to pay the nuns to stay in these places while thinking that they should be there because they felt an immense sense of guilt and shame about the condition that they'd found themselves in. Now, at this point of vulnerability, we introduce the social worker. And the social worker says to the woman, you must have this child adopted because you don't want to shame your family anymore. It's going to be better for you and it's going to be better for the child. The woman at that particular time is feeling incredible shame and loss. She's not heard the word adoption before. She says to the social worker, but I will be able to visit my child at some point, won't I? The social worker says, of course you will, not a problem. Just sign the adoption papers. She signs the adoption papers and they are a legal document saying that she is no longer guardian or responsible to this child. The child is given to adopting parents. She's not told the address. She's not told where the child is. And she has to go home. She goes home to her parents. She tells everybody she's been on a little break. And she has to bury the shame, the trauma, and the shock of what has happened to her for the rest of her life. Now, society, meanwhile, can only tell you that she is shameful. By the way, we're doing this to women right now who are addicted or who are pregnant or who are homeless. We're doing it now in a different way. So she grows up with that sense of shame for the rest of her life. And then who turns up? Who turns up out of the blue? She's got married, she has children, she's carried this loss throughout every relationship she's had, whether that's a relationship with her new children or with her husband. There's a place that none of them can quite get to. There's a coldness, there's a behavior that she's doing that nobody understands. The only person who knows is the child that was born of her. And most of us go back and we search for our mothers and we ask of them that they explain themselves to us. We forget about the empathy that they need. We forget that the only person that they could have spoken this to is you. Because it's all about us. Because of the pain that a lot of children have been through, who've been in care, there is when it comes down to our own stories, we can lose empathy because we're so hurt. So I learned in seeing my mother that this wasn't my story, it was hers, and that actually our society bases a lot of its well-being on a false idea of what family is. And that false idea of what family is why, as I said earlier, people would say to me, hey, Lem, family's not all good. I mean, part of the beauty of family is that it's not all good. The learning that happens. But sorry, I just wanted to share that with you because you could say this. I'll end on this. Anybody who goes to meetings, they'll know what I mean by that. I'll end on this. Give me a thumbs up if you know what I mean by that. I'll end on this, and it's that. Oh gosh, I've forgotten. It's that. Well, I'll say this: that there is an unspoken prejudice against. Yeah, I mean, somebody said, "What about absentee fathers?" That's another matter altogether. But I was trying to speak here for the mother, for my mother, because that's it. It's them that get the blame. People will often say to adopting children, "Oh, you know, your mother didn't want you." It's very rarely true. And I've got a point that I want to say to you, and I'll say it, and then I'll read this poem, and then we'll stop. But the point that I wanted to say to you is that if a woman gives a child away for adoption, so regardless of what I've just said, many women will have given their child away for adoption. Why is it in society that we don't see that as the greatest thing that a human being can do? A child will give you love regardless of what you do to it. That's why abuse is so horrific. That the child will still go back to the abuser to hug them because that's where they know love it comes from, okay? Well, a woman knows that of her child because she's been carrying it for 9 months and it came, and there is a link. So if a woman gives that child away for a better life, that is the greatest example of heroism in our society that I have ever witnessed, period. But that's not how we view it, is it? No, we're told that the women whose children are adopted were harlots. We're told that they are poisonous. We're told that they didn't care for their child. We're told that they were addicted and therefore impossibly. It's kind of amazing. And once you see the prejudice and you peel it back and you look at how children are treated, I'm sorry you didn't come here for a lecture. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was reading poetry and I've just gone into this thing and I apologize. But I know there's somebody in the audience, one of you is thinking, look, listen, I came here for a poem, okay? I don't need your backstory, pal. All right. Somebody's saying don't apologize. I'll make it my prerogative to apologize to the one person who feels that I've taken you somewhere that you didn't want to go, and I understand. And also, if you are adopted yourself, I think that if you do go and search for your family, it's only an acknowledgement of how good your adopting family is. I have no belief in the idea that there is any difference between a mother who's a family who adopt a child and a family who've given physical birth to a child. I've seen so many beautiful people who were adopted that it's the most beautiful thing that one human being can do for another is for a parent to adopt a child and for the child for its tendrils of love and need to reach out to that parent. And that's exactly what happens with a birth child as well. So I'm just going to read this this poem called Fallen. The bridge between girl and woman, between found and lost, between caught and fallen, between faith and frost. She may turn to salt, should her head turn, the guilt like silts, the fault burn. That mother falls from daughter and flies from the ridge, that this is thicker than water which runs beneath the bridge, that swells by the banks and fights immovable rocks, that spills over ledges in the rapids of unwashed. I am your son, and you did not fall, and I did not fall from you, not at all. I came from those rivers. You floated amongst reeds. I rise from the fallen, the swollen seed. Let go, they said. let go, unworthy, unwashed, the discordant lullaby, what lament of loss. They may have burned the birth ribbon, but of all things I have learned, you are forgiven. You are not to blame, not the carrier of gifts, not the winged flame, famed heroine of myth. Bring me Artemis with her hounds, and Antigone with soil in her hair, Antigone with soil in her hair. Bring me Athena and Boudica alive, and bring Jane Eyre. Bring me Gaia, the daughter of chaos. Bring me Daphne and her olive roots. Bring Lisbeth Salander, the girl with the dragon tattoo. Bring me Ursula of oceans, Helen and her 1,000 ships. Bring Seth and feathers, and Medusa with blood on her lips. Bring me Eve. Bring Ruth, bring me Mary after the birth. Bring me Medeba on her chariot. Bring Rhea, goddess of earth. Bring me Pandora with hope. Bring me fierce Delilah. Bring me Persephone in spring. Bring the Queen of Sheba, and tell them of the fallen, of the bad-blooded women, of the unwashed unbelievers, the unforgiven. Though I am the son of Sullen, I have found my calling. They say you fell from grace, but you were never fallen. Simply on the bridge between girl and woman, between found and lost, between caught and fallen, between faith and frost. Thank you very much, folks. Not a lot of laughs, really, you know. I hope you were touched. I certainly was, and I don't expect you to be if I'm not. But it's been an absolute pleasure. I think now I'm going to move over to the MC for the event. Is that right? It's now 8:47. I need some.
Yep.
I need somebody to talk to me.
Yep, let's go.
Okay, thanks.
Hi,
Go,
hi,
folks.
Absolutely, massive thank you. Let's get those hashtags together, everyone, for the incredible Lemn Sissay. We're just so moved over here. It's been such a privilege to hear you speak, Lemn. Thank you so much for your words. It's been equal parts heartbreaking and hilarious the whole way through. So thank you.
I've always been that way, you know. I've always been that way, and quite early, like throughout my career, you know, and it has been a career, a full lifetime in poetry. It's always been a way of people have always said, "Oh, you should be one or the other." You know, you're being too funny. I need you to be this, and it's funny. I've just the name of that poem somebody's just asking for. It was called Fallen, but yeah, I just try and be who I am. I think the most important thing in reading poetry in public is to commit to the poem. They never tire me. I never get tired of them. I see new things in them as I read them. They become entities of their own, you know.
It brings us quite nicely to our first question, actually. So we've invited questions from our registrants here, and Sophia asks.
Just 1 second. I just want to ask: is that there is somebody on called John Humphreys? Is that John Humphreys, the Radio 4 presenter who I saw the other day when I did Mastermind? I'm just asking that question because it just came up in chat, and I like the man. You know, we've met quite a few times now. Anyway, sorry, carry on. Ask me the question. I'll stop looking at the chat.
No, it's fine. Let's because I saw it. I saw all the hashtags from John. I wonder if he's still out there.
No, it's not. It's not that John Humphreys.
No,
John Humphreys. It doesn't matter that it's not John Humphreys, but I've got a lot of time for John Humphreys. He was brought up in the most poverty, in the greatest poverty. Today he may well have been in children's homes, but he's a good man. So it's not you, but I'm glad you brought him up. Go ahead.
So we had a question from Sophia, which is, how was your first performance and how did you get the confidence to perform? So just going right back to the beginning.
You're talking about my first performance. I've just seen Angela Pell is here. Angela Pell has just written a drama which is starring Christopher Eccleston, and she's incredible. And her husband is just a mate, and his name is Henry Normal. And Henry Normal is the man who started this festival, the Nottingham Poetry Festival, if I'm right. And also Henry Normal started the Manchester International Festival, and as a poet, then went on to establish Baby Cow Productions, who then became like Mighty Boosh they produce, and Gavin and Stacey, etc., and Steve Coogan's stuff. That's all Henry Normal, right? And then he gives that up, right, at its height, and then goes to what he always was, and always was when I first knew him, is a poet. And he starts the Nottingham Poetry Festival and started the Manchester International Festival. You know, there are some people in your life who you don't realize at the time, but later on you realize how much they've given to you and how much you've learned from them, from what they've been. If I could just go back to when me and Henry were touring all over the country in live little gigs in Brighton and Bournemouth and London. Actually, we never did London because we didn't want to. Henry didn't want to perform there, so we didn't. We performed everywhere. I mean, it's just wonderful how life turns out. Right, that rant over. That rant over. What was the question?
Can you take us back to your first ever performance?
Well, I can. Do you want me to?
Yeah, how was it? Was it?
I mean, you know,
the question's about confidence as well. So we had a couple of questions from what sounds like emerging artists asking about, you know, how do you find the confidence to do that first performance and get on stage? So yeah, was it a nerve-wracking thing?
This is beautiful. It's a beautiful question, because the confidence that I have on stage has nothing to do with the audience and very little to do with me. It's got to do with my poems. You see, they're my friends. They're not your friends, they're mine. I know them. I've grown up with them. I've seen them grow up, like Henry's seen me grow up. I've seen them angry, like Henry's seen me angry. I've seen them find some sense of themselves, like Henry's seen me find something of myself. That's where the magic is. That's where everything is. All of the talk and stuff, and you see Henry when he's on stage, it's the same, you know, we can talk all we want. It's the poems where the magic is. That's where we're committed. Those are our flags in the mountainside. Now, they mean a lot to me. There's no reason why they should mean anything to you. So when you see me on stage, reading my poetry and speaking, but reading my poetry particularly, I'm committed to my friends. I'm not committed to you. You have been the kind person who's given me the opportunity to show my friends. So I'm watching them. So when I read a poem, I'm in the poem. You know, and this is why I can listen to somebody who is not performative, and I can know that it's a beautiful performance, because at the heart of all performance is the truth. And the heart of all poetry is the truth, is my truth, is the poem's truth. So when you see me on stage, that's all I'm doing with when I read a poem. I'm letting my friend show themselves to the best of their ability. I know where their dysfunctions are. I know where they could be better. I know how not clever I am. You know, I know that I didn't go to university, etc. I know that my friends have got I'm my worst critic. But my job when I'm reading them is to show them at their best for themselves. Now, what this does, it takes you away from concentrating too much on what people think of you. You see, if we go out in our conversations daily and all we are thinking about is what people think about us, we lose ourselves. I can't have a natural conversation because I'm so busy wondering if my sentences are correct. I can't be funny because I'm so busy wondering whether you're going to laugh. That's ego. That's ego. So in fact, when you see me on stage and I'm sort of bouncing around and I'm blah, 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 I'm in my best place with my best friends. And that takes a lack of ego. So it's counterintuitive. People who don't want to walk on stage and don't want to speak out loud, there is an ego involved in that. How will people see me? Oh my God, I'll make a fool of myself. You see, that's ego. So I'm not saying I don't have an ego. I'm just saying that actually an extrovert is just an introvert trying to prove that they're not. That's a different matter.
As Alessandra down there says, amazing advice.
It's the key to all, for me,
yeah.
It's the key to all public speaking is that concentrate what it is that you're saying, because it's bigger than an applause. And let me tell you something, there is few things better than applause. I'm not pretending that I do not love applause. I love to be loved. So, and what's really enjoyable about if you commit to your poem, I'm not saying it's a good poem. I'm not saying it's a great piece of work for academia to pore over, or for comedians to pore over, or for the poetry network to like. I'm not looking for your acceptance. I'm looking to commit. And this is, I've got to say, the gift that keeps on giving. You'll never get tired of a poem then.
So on the sort of subject of applause, obviously tonight we've been using hashtags, and you know that's, for me, it's been a bizarre experience. So I can't imagine, from your end, how have you found this experience performing online compared to in real life?
Let me tell you, this is real life. There is nothing more real that we are in at the moment. We are in a pandemic right now. There is nothing more real than what I've read and spoken about now, and what people who have listened have been thinking about themselves, about their own lives, how we've been moved at times, how we've laughed at times. This is 100% real. I am not acting here. By the way, I don't think that acting is not real, actually. An actor has to be real, but that's a whole other story regarding performance and the nature of it. But no, this is, how could I do this if it wasn't real? I read one of those poems and I was moved, by the poem as an entity in itself, not me. I'm not complimenting myself. We need to allow ourselves to be present, in whatever situation we're in. I've got to say, it's been such a joyous, I've really enjoyed this. I'm enjoying it.
We have absolutely loved having you. I remember at one point in the performance seeing someone in the chat saying this actually, in a way, feels more intimate than a performance in the flesh.
Yeah, you've got to, like I was saying before, we need to commit, especially us as performers, and you need to commit. Again, this is an exercise in not thinking about what other people are thinking about you, but just let it roll. I've been on stage all of my adult life. If I haven't got a sense of experience with this, with the reading of a poem, whether it's on here, whether it's on stage, whether it's at a bus stop, Henry will know. We've done readings in shopping centres, man, You know, while people were not listening, they were going shopping, but somebody had organized that reading to happen. I've done readings in cafeterias, in factories, and so's Henry, and prisons. You know, but it's the same person in each one of them.
Well, Lem, we have reached the end of our Q&A. We have to make time for...
Okay, can I ask one question just before you do that? Ladies and gentlemen who are listening to this, right? I've just said ladies and gentlemen. I never, ever say ladies and gentlemen. That is nearly as bad as, I'm going to say this out loud, MC, without further ado. People only say without further ado when they're in front of an audience, and they only say ladies and gentlemen when they're in front of an audience.
That's true.
So, you know, it's like we never use the word preface other than when it's in a book, a preface. You don't say I'm going out with my mates, but we're just going to have a preface at my auntie's. You know what I mean? But anyway, what am I saying? I wanted to say something. It's just gone. Oh yeah, that's it.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you do me a favor? Would you take a photograph now and would you put it on Twitter and tell me how this event was? Because that's the only way I'm going to get feedback from you. If you all take a photograph, right, and then you put that photograph on Twitter and hashtag, and then tell me what you think about the gig. Don't take the photograph yet. Stop, please. Don't screenshot yet. Don't screenshot yet. Stop. I need to do the writer look. Wait. Is that okay? I just have to. Sorry. Oh, so good. I loved it. I love that. No, there's nothing with the. Don't. Anyway, over to you. Folks, that was just me messing about. It wasn't, there was nothing wrong with the screen and nothing wrong with your internet. Please forgive me for doing that. But let me tell you, if you smiled, that's good enough for me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Can we get some hashtags together for Lemn Sissay, everyone? Yes.
Take care, folks.
Thank you. And Lem, the virtual book sign up people will join you.
I want to stay.
After. I know.
Don't want to go now. Look at those applauses.
The applauses are coming. The applauses are coming.
It's so good. It's such a good festival that you're doing here at Nottingham. Thanks for everything.
Thank you so much for taking part. It's been a real pleasure.
Can I pout? No, I can't pout. Why would I pout? I was accused of pouting when I was a kid, actually. But I don't pout. Thanks a lot, folks. I'm fascinated to know what all of you all do. You know, what jobs you do, where you are in the country and the world. But I'll have to say thank you now because I need to eat as well. So lots of love, Henry and Angela, Martin Carey, Patrick Connor, Emma, Amelia Diance, Beth Banks, Claire Mayrick, Pat Furley, Louise Barber, Jackie Martinez, Cecilia Gell, Jane Burnmore, Heather, Janet, Kayla, Maggie, Nigel King, Deanne Hughes, Carolyn, Alexander Coates, Paul Grundy, Joy Fife Hardy, Louise Barber, Diane Hughes, Margaret Royal, Anne Holloway, Manjeet Sahota, Byron Perez, Elmo Morby, Audrey Daisley, Sheila Khan, Shirley Wally, Fiona Monaghan, Dawn Hart, thank you, Alexander Coates, Rachel Snore, Alma Solat, Tobin, Ingrid Warren, Rachel Davey, Marcia Harding, Diana Peace, Amy Longstaff, Rachel Williams, Stephen Ashburn, Claire Stewart, Veronique, Barbara, and a lot of you. Bags of love. See you later. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Take good care. Be kind to yourself and to others.
See you, Lem. See you at the virtual book signing. So, just a massive thank you to all of you who have joined this evening. It has been such a pleasure to have you. And want to thank all of our performers tonight. Just real incredible. I'm sure you'll agree. I've just been incredibly moved. I'm sure you have too. Wanted to give a massive thank you to everyone at Metronome and Confetti who've made this happen. Thank you to Arts Council England for, again, making sure that this whole festival is totally free to all of you at home. Please check out the rest of our program. We've got some amazing artists, performers, we've got workshops. We've got Vanessa Kasule, we've got Anthony Anaxaguru, we've got Henry Normal, who Lem has mentioned tonight. And again, just thank you to all of you in the chat, all of you who are watching on Twitch. And don't forget, Lem is available for a virtual book signing. You can buy a ticket for the virtual book signing at the Nottingham Poetry Festival website on Lem's event on the What's On section. And yeah, I've been Bridie Squires. I am Bridie Squires, and I will remain Bridie Squires. And just want to say thank you and goodbye. And it's just been a real pleasure. So see you later.